Hey everybody, this is your friend, your good friend, Ray Renati. That's right, how you doing today? I'm glad you stopped by my little space on the various interwebs. Here I am in San Francisco, California, as you can see out the window. And tomorrow is, we'll find out who's president. Well, maybe, right? Today's election day. Election day is today. Man, this is scary. I mean, this is the future of our country here. What's going on? You hear that? The internet is calling. Hold on a moment. I'll be right back. One moment. Okay, I'm back. The internet was calling me, and I said, "Howdy, internet," and then I said, "I gotta go. I'm busy." But anyway, I'm using this program called OBS to record this in. That's why I'm able to have my, where is it? There it is. My logo over there. Yeah. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. That's going to be the theme song tonight at Trump's party celebrating his loss of the presidency. But, you know, even if he loses, he's not going to give up. He's going to have his attorneys say, say it's Ohio and Pennsylvania that barely went to Biden. He'll say there was some kind of voter fraud, and then he'll send it to the Supreme Court. Oh, God, the internet is calling again. Bye, internet. And so that'll go on for months, and then it'll come to Inauguration Day, and then we'll find out. I mean, who knows if we'll even leave, right? You know what I would love is if the Army or the National Guard or something came in and had to, like, escort him out of the White House, and Melania in tears and poor little Barron. That would be so cool, wouldn't it? God, I would love that. But we need to get this guy out because if we don't, it means that for many, many years into the future, we're going to have some big problems, especially with the environment. Yeah, and that means my kids are going to suffer. And everyone's kids who are like millennials and younger are going to have a screwed situation. So this a-hole needs to go. This a-hole needs to go. This a-hole needs to go. Hi-ho the merry-o. This a-hole needs to go. Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. But today we have a very special show for you. I have a guy who I've known for like 15 years. He is a well-known comedian. He is a magnificent singer and actor. He's done all kinds of musical theater. Right now, his main thing is the comedy. He's also been on many TV shows. He has just written a new book called The Art of Being Yay, which was #1 on Amazon for a week or two or more, I think. That's right. His name, folks, is Aidan Park. Aidan Park. Check him out. Go to YouTube. Check it out. Go look at some of his comedy routines. He's a very, very funny man. And he's so full of charisma. And he's one of these people, when they're in the room, you're just like, damn, this guy is something else. Yeah, he's got charisma up the yin-yang. He's originally from Korea. Moved here when he was a boy. Grew up poor in San Francisco. And but now he's a very successful performer. And he also is involved in some other self-help things like Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And you'll hear about that. But the main thing is his new book, The Art of Being Yay, which I've started reading. It's very entertaining. And I highly recommend that you read it too. He's a very fun guy. Now, I was saying he's very charismatic. He's one of these guys, when he enters the room, let me see if I can talk. When he enters the room, you know it. You feel it. You know something's changed. There's a new vibration. He's got tons of energy. He's one of those rare people that just being around him makes you feel good, you know? Just if he's within arm's reach or 20 feet away. What is it that some people have that? He definitely has it. I can tell you that for sure. And it's a rare thing. It's a rare thing. But I notice it's really common with the people I know who've done really well in Hollywood and things like that. They often have that vibe. It's an extreme positivity or something, or an extreme optimism, filled with energy, looking toward the future and all the great stuff that's going to happen. So that's what Aidan's like. And we need that right now, don't we? Because right now we are in the middle of this screwed up situation with the virus and the election and this insane human being as president, where millions of people are still voting for him. And that, folks, that is something that I don't understand. I watched Fox News last night, and I can see where if you watch that all the time, especially the Laura Ingrams and the Tucker Carlsons and these people, that you could possibly believe that Trump is wonderful and the Democrats are evil devils from hell, all the QAnon things. But you still have to choose to watch it. You know what I mean? And QAnon, talk about crazy. So all of these people, these middle-aged people, like my age and older, actually believe, including, I think maybe my parents, that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and a bunch of movie stars and stuff, which is hilarious because that's bullshit, are in this cult of people who participate in pedophilia and then kill the kids and drink their blood. They believe this. They truly believe it. And there are millions of people who believe this. Millions. People in my family, I think. It's crazy. It's crazy. What is going on? I don't know. We need hope. We need to save this country. We need the orangutan out. We need Joe Biden, the old dude, in for a few years, and then hopefully somebody like Kamala Harris or Bernie, who's too old, but and the AOCs and all those people need to take over the Democratic Party, and we need to move this country forward, not backward. People are afraid of change. They're bigots because they're afraid of gays. They're afraid of blacks, the blacks, like Trump says. They're afraid of browns, yellows, anybody without skin of this shade. That's got to change. All right, well, by this time tomorrow, we'll know sort of who's president, maybe. But if Trump doesn't win, which I don't think he's going to do, and the reason I don't think he's going to win is not only the polls. There's this college professor. I can't remember his name. Just Google it. College professor who predicts presidential elections. Since like 1980 or something, he's predicted every election, and it doesn't even matter what the polls are. It's just based on 13 criteria, only 2 of which depend, I believe, on the person, him or herself, and he predicts that Biden will win. So I'm going with that because the guy has the best track record of anyone. But even though Biden may win, that doesn't mean he's going to win. I'm going to move my green room. Look at that. Woo! Isn't that amazing? I hope it's in the picture. I just covered the Transamerica building. That's okay. Yeah, that doesn't mean he's going to win for sure because Trump's going to contest it. And with the Supreme Court packed, who the hell knows what's going to happen? Like, it could come down to Ohio and Pennsylvania, perhaps. And and maybe he'll contest them, saying that there was voter fraud with the mail-in ballots. He'll somehow get it sent into the Supreme Court, being that they're all, the majority of ultra conservatives now. They'll probably give it to him, and then he'll be president again. Oh, God. Please no. And I don't mean to be laughing, because to me it's a serious issue. I think that this world will be in big trouble if he becomes president for the next 4 years. And we may move to France if that happens. In fact, we probably will. I don't want to be here anymore. I can't handle another 4 years like this. I need to be in France, living in the countryside, drinking my pastis at night, going to Mamé Moule's restaurant, and playing some boule in the afternoon. Yeah. Riding my bike in the countryside and having a life. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that for right now, because I want to get you to my guest, Aidan Park. Now, if you're watching the video of this, you're going to see that I completely screwed up the Zoom. And for most of this, you're only going to see Aidan with my voice, a disembodied voice coming in, talking to him. But if you're just listening on the podcast, that's not going to matter, right? Because you don't see it. But if you're watching it on YouTube, all you're going to see most of the time is Aidan, which is probably good. I mean, who wants to look at this? Anyway, enough of that. And let's go to it, my dear friends. And without any further ado, Aidan Park.
No, but I'm in LA now, yeah.
You're in LA, cool. All right. So like, are you in LA proper, Orange County, or what?
Yeah, I'm in downtown LA.
Oh, downtown LA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that your window right there? Your downtown LA window?
Out there? Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it.
Cool, man.
I can see the Hollywood sign from my window.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's no smog.
There's a palm tree. Very nice.
Right on. I got some weird light going on my face here, but you know what? What side is that? Oh, this side. Oh, okay. Oh, that's a little better. Yeah. So you wrote a book.
Yeah.
Wrote a book.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we got in touch again.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I saw your email about the book, and I have it here on my Kindle.
Oh, you actually got it. Yay!
Yeah, and I started reading it. I haven't finished it.
How far did you get? Did Michael
Just like the first 20 pages.
Oh, okay.
I feel kind of bad about that. No, but I really love it. I got to keep going. But yeah, full confession, man.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's I just lay it all out there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was watching some of your comedy videos this morning on YouTube.
Oh, thank you. Woo woo.
I was dying.
Hey, I appreciate it. I haven't seen you in how long? When was the last time I saw you?
At Bobby's class, I think.
Crazy.
I think you were like just sitting in, and we didn't really talk. I mean, the only time I really talked to you much was with the Guggenheim people.
The Guggenheim. What did we do with the Guggenheim?
Well, you did their like their Christmas shows and all those.
Meshuggah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Meshuggah at Christmas, which I saw. That was really funny. And
you worked with the Googies, right?
What?
You worked with the Googies too, right?
Yeah. The Googies. I love it. Yeah, I was in the game show.
Oh yeah, cool.
Thanks for playing. Yeah, I took
Susan was in that.
Susan was in that, yeah.
Cool.
And I took what's his name's place? Oh my gosh, the tall guy. I forgot his name.
The tall guy.
Tall actor, lives in San Jose. used to be a theater reviewer. I'll think of it in a minute. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
The Googies. Are they actual? Are they related to the Guggenheims? I've never asked them.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, okay. They're cousins or something.
I think I'm pretty sure they are. I think they said something like that, but I don't want to get it wrong.
No, I think they probably are. I think they probably are. Yeah. Because I don't know anybody else with that name. When I first heard it, I was like, whoa, the Guggenheim's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
so
miss the Bay Area Theater a lot.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing now, of course, except people doing Zoom shows.
Yeah. The 42nd Street Moon.
Yeah.
Doing something I saw. And then SF Shakespeare is doing like theater on virtual, I think, right?
Yes, they did Lear. And it was Jackson Davis. That's whose place I took in the game show. Yeah.
Is he black?
No. Sounds like it.
Whatever. I'm racist. Whatever.
I love your bit about.
I know somebody named Jackson who's black, who's tall. That's why. Whatever.
I love your bit about you're not going to go home gay, but you're going to go home Asian. I love that.
Yeah, you're going to go home Asian. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you're going to have this insatiable desire to drive 20 below the speed limit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the other one the one that killed me was the one that really killed me was Bryan Adams in the song.
Oh yeah.
I see my unborn children in your eyes or something.
He has a lyric.
I know.
He says like, you really love a woman when you see your unborn children in her eyes. I thought, yo, Brian, if you see your unborn children in her eyes, you have to improve your aim.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great joke.
Because she didn't see that coming.
The topper. So,
Yep.
So tell me about the book. What's it about, and how did you get inspired to write it?
Okay. So let's see. How do I tie it all in? Okay.
And the title.
I've been studying empowerment for years. Like I'm a big NLP person, Neuro-Linguistic Programming.
Oh, okay.
I started that because do you remember Richard Nicole?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was my voice teacher. And people don't know this, but this is kind of what happened. My friend Omi Fernandez was a good friend of mine. And we met doing the American Musical Theater Conservatory when that was open with Mark Jacobs, right?
Yeah.
And I had met her there. So right before that, what happened was I was an undocumented immigrant. And so I got into a bunch of colleges and I couldn't go. Also, I was very, very poor. I grew up in, my grandmother's government housing in San Francisco above a Burger King. And I wasn't allowed to be there, like poverty, like $600 a month. That's what we had to live on. And so I got to the American Conservatory Theater partially on scholarship, and my school did like a fundraiser for me to be able to go, actually. Mm-hmm. So I went and I met Omi. And at that point, I realized okay, I'm undocumented. I can't get a job. I can't go to school. I felt kind of at a loss. And so I was actually I was a prostitute for a minute because I was like a Craigslist hooker.
Yeah,
right.
I read that in your book. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of intense because it's like, okay, what else am I? Well, my thought was, I'm giving it away for free. May as well get paid for it.
Hey, that's what everybody says who gets into the biz, right?
Yeah. And also I was I didn't have the greatest parenting. I lived alone with my grandmother. My grandmother, very Korean. And so not around a lot. And my mom, and I don't know my dad, and my mom was on the other side of the country dealing with something else. And so I was kind of I didn't really have parenting growing up. Yeah. And so I wasn't the most stable person, I would say. I had a kind of rough and tumble kind of person. I could sing, but that was about it, literally. And so I met my friend Omi there. And after a little while of living that lifestyle, I was diagnosed with HIV. When I was 19. I had just turned 19.
Oh man.
And I told Omi Fernandez,
Yeah.
And she went to Richard, and I guess during one of her voice lessons just broke down crying, like, I can't believe that, like, who am I to deserve this like these lessons, and I feel so privileged, and I feel like my friend doesn't have anything, and I feel so bad. I guess she like spilled her guts to him.
Yeah.
At which point Richard was like, bring him in, I'll give him a scholarship.
Oh, okay.
And so he brought me in, and he gave me the vocal intensives that he would do at no cost. And that was like for a year. I still paid for the privates, but he really took me under his wing and helped me out. And that's where that's how I got into the Theater Bay Area scene, because, I didn't know anybody. So I felt very lucky to have been connected that way.
Yeah.
And so then he sent me to this thing called Liberty Experience, which is like an empowerment. It's very much like Landmark. Do you know Landmark Forum?
Yes. I did that with Mindy. I went on one of the weekend things.
Yeah, Mindy was like around when I was there with Omi, and it was me and Mindy and Adam Lau, and the Richard Nicole kids. That was a Richard Nicole kid.
Yeah. Right. like the second wave, I think.
Yeah, the second wave. There was the Irwin Irby, there was the Noah Hayden, and then there was me and Mindy and Omi and us, like Matt Doyle.
Like after he stopped working, performing. There was like after he stopped performing, touring and stuff, he started teaching, and then there was like, the one wave of people, and then you guys were the next wave, I think.
Yeah. I think Tammy DeVera was in the first wave also. She's so talented. She's so crazy.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then he sent me to this workshop, and it changed my life. I really had no parenting. I got a tax, like, when I was 20, I got a tax form in the mail after getting my first job at Starbucks after I got documented. Yeah. And I didn't know what it was. Like, it was like that level. Like, no one taught me about taxes. I didn't know anything.
Taxes,
I didn't know that you had to be insured to drive a car. Like, no one told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I went to that, and then I studied, got real into empowerment for many, 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 many years. And so that's kind of what the book's about. Okay. Then shit really hit the fan a couple of years ago when my partner passed away. Oh. And that's where things kind of, I was like, okay, and so I wrote a book about it.
I see. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. That's sad. Wow. So you've been through a lot for a young guy.
Oh, I guess. That's what people say. It's just life. So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. So that's great that you have that attitude, because a lot of people, they'll have those difficulties and they'll stay down, like what's the secret to you? What's the secret to not letting it bring you down, but making you stronger?
Well, the first round of that was the empowerment work that I was referred to by Richard and Omi and all those guys. Yeah. Really kind of made me like take responsibility for everything that had happened up to that point, and gave me hope and optimism, and encouraged empowerment moving forward. Yeah. Then when you lose your husband, all of that just goes out the window.
Right. God, I'm so sorry, Aidan. I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah, that was gnarly. That was the impetus that really made me write the book, because once I lost him, I tried to apply those empowerment tools first to how do I do this? There was nothing to be, it was unfixable. It was like, you can't, it was undoable.
You have to grieve.
In the way that I've done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have to think about, then you reach a point of desperation where you're willing to try anything. And the goal before Michael's death was always, all right, get the next show, get the next tour, and you know me, like I was active in the Bay Area scene, and I'm known as a very driven person. I'm very driven. I'm always doing something, right? Like I was in everything.
Yeah.
And it was as a result of like, okay, work hard, be empowered, da 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 da, and always trying to go and get career goals and money or whatever. But when Michael died, I had to shift my focus of desired result to an emotional result because I was desperate. I was like, I'm gonna die if I don't feel better.
Your goal has to
Like,
be to take care of yourself rather than to like get the next TV commercial or sitcom or something.
Yeah. And the weird thing in the world is like, you think that you get that and then you'll be taken care of. So
Right.
you go after that thing. But when you are in such a place, it's just like, forget all of that. How do I short circuit or shortcut this? Because I can't live like this.
Yeah.
I can't. And so
yeah,
I started actually using the tools that I learned over the years in empowerment for an emotional result rather than tangible. So like I was going for like, how do I get happier? How do I set my mind up so I can be more at ease, more at peace? How do I, with this happening, make myself feel better? Yeah. And so once I started doing that, my happiness levels went up, happier than when Michael was actually alive, surprisingly, within a few months. And I was like,
wow,
interesting.
That's amazing.
And then people noticed.
Yeah.
So then my mentor, who teaches the business department at Pepperdine, she was like, what are you doing? So she referred me to a book coach to talk about maybe writing an article. And she was like, you have to write a book about this. I'm giving you a scholarship to my program. You do. Like, I'm basically here because of kindness of other people. Richard, Omi, Inette, Tessa, like people just offer me stuff. And I don't know why. They just like are so nice. And so I'm like, okay, I'll write a book, I guess. And so that's kind of how it happened. I wasn't like, I'm going to write a book. It was like, okay, well, you know.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I think that people are attracted to you because you have so much positive energy, and people want to be around people like that. I mean, that's my feeling.
Funny because I think that comes from happiness comes from. So I started researching happiness, right? Like what makes a happy person, right? You got to be happy with where you are and who you are, and you got to be excited for more. Mm-hmm. Right? You got to be eager for more, optimistic for more. So you got to be empowered for the future and satisfied with the now. If you have those two things, you're done. That's it.
I was just reading an article about that yesterday. They were saying the people that are the happiest are the ones who can be super in the now, but also be very assertive and wanting to go further. And it's like the people who can do both those things, who have both those traits. Like people who have those traits naturally are naturally happy, but they say you can work on it and and acquire those things for yourself if you don't have them naturally. You can work on learning how to be in the present and still being, wanting more, wanting to go further. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just reading an article about that.
It's all patterning. It's like, I studied I'm a master practitioner at Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So from the empowerment work that I did over those years, I got that for myself. I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing, but it makes you hyper effective. Like it makes you very, very effective. So I was running 4 comedy shows a month. I had a show at Laugh Factory and Improv and Flappers, and I was headlining comedian, and I was doing commercials, and people are like, well, how did you? And I'm like, I don't know, but I know it's NLP. It's Neuro-Linguistic Programming.
Yeah.
So you live life and then you run into, mental block. Limited thinking. What is that? Identify, and then you retrain your brain to think in a different way as it relates to that topic so that you free yourself of that baggage and you move forward quicker.
I see. I don't know a lot about it, but I want to find out more.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's great. It's the best thing. Any topic. I started coaching people on it.
It's not just affirmations, is it? It's not just positive affirmations, right? It's more than that.
The thing about affirmations, I don't like affirmations. Yeah. Because affirmations is okay, so if you say like you say you want to get a role in, I don't know, Broadway.
Yeah.
But you don't think you're talented. But people are like, you should think you're talented in order to get the role. So you sit there, not you. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, right. I get it. Yeah.
No, they tell you to sit there and go, write it on a piece of card and go, I'm talented. And then you go, I'm talented, I'm talented, I'm talented, I'm talented. But you don't believe you're talented. Yeah. And so now you feel like you're untalented and a liar and delusional. So you can't make that jump. It's too big of a jump. You can't go from I'm untalented to talented in overnight by saying a few things. You're gonna make yourself miserable. So that's not, I don't like that technique, because I think it also makes the person wrong for being where they're at. If you're trying to get to New York and you're in Fresno, you can't be like, I shouldn't be in Fresno, I should be in New York. New York. That's not gonna get you to New York. You have to be like, I'm in Fresno, what road do I have to take to get to New York? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about this.
You can't beam yourself to New York yet.
No, you can't. But you can incrementally work up. Yeah. So if you think you're untalented, right?
Yeah.
You could go, well, what I advocate, and I say this in the book, I talk about this in chapter. So the book is basically using my life story as an example of how you can reframe your own mind to move in the direction you want, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't go from I'm untalented to talented, but you can give yourself a new thought with two important criteria. One, that cannot be refuted, and two, it has to make you feel better than it is. So like, I'm untalented. You can't go to I'm talented, but you can go to I'm untalented. Some people think I'm talented. That is an irrefutable truth.
Oh, I see. Right. Right, yeah.
And then you go, that does make you feel better. It's irrefutable. And then you provide evidence for that. 5 minutes a day. You sit down, that new belief, write down all the people, and then pretty soon there's this part of your brain called the reticular activating system. Yeah. Which looks for evidence of that which you want to hold as your truth. So that's why when you get a Honda, all you see are Hondas on the road. Yes. Because all of a sudden it's relevant information to you. Right. So you want to go from some people think I'm talented, write all the people, and then pretty soon your brain goes, like TheaterWorks hired me for that important gig, and this hired me for that gig, and I did this, and this person believed in me, and and that. And pretty soon, if you do that for a couple of days, you're going to walk around, and guess what you're going to notice? People who believe you're talented. And so, and your brain kicks in, and it becomes a self-generating momentum.
I see. Just like the car.
Then you click it again. Yeah. Then you go, lots of people think I'm talented. From some people think I'm talented to lots of people. Then so you click up to.
So you may have been thinking I'm untalented, and then all you're doing is finding evidence to show that you are more untalented. So if you can get yourself to think, well, some people think I'm talented, and then you'll start noticing, oh yeah, there's another person that thinks I'm talented. There's another.
But you have to evidence it first. Oh, okay. Because there's momentum going. So everything's momentum, right? Yeah. So if you think you're untalented, the reticular activation system in your brain, literally there's a part of your brain that looks for evidence of that which you believe. So if you already think you're untalented, the reticular activating system is looking for evidence for this. So there's a lot of momentum going here.
On the untalented.
So when you think some people think I'm talented, you have to override the reticular activating system. And at first, you have to be the one to pull the chain to generate the momentum consciously. Until it's like engine, like when you like pull at first and it goes, and then it goes, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It won't go on its own. You have to, if you're changing if you're starting a car, you have to go, right?
Like so the old lawnmowers that you had to pull the chain on.
Yeah, they're not a car, but I don't know. I'm not a mechanic, but
Well, I used to have this lawnmower that was gas powered. You had to like pull it, and then it would go, and you do it again, and then eventually it would start up, and then it would go.
Yeah, and then it goes, and then you're free. Yeah. Because your brain will look for that. So you do that with every belief that you hold, that's in your way. I'm not attractive. Does that serve you in dating? No. I'm not good enough. Does that serve you? No. I'm not funny. Is that going to serve me being a comic? No. I'll never make it. Asian, even things like Asian people have a real, Asian people can't make it in show business, or whatever belief you hold. That creates your reality.
Right. What about beliefs about yourself from like if you've had traumatic past or something? Like, how do you get past that?
Well, this is so. I say this in my book. It's so when I got HIV, I had a very specific incident that happened.
Yeah.
When I got HIV, as a teenager, right? Undocumented teenager with HIV. Imagine that. It's like crazy. So I was like, I'm gonna die alone. I'm totally gonna die alone. I'm gonna die alone. That's what I thought.
Yeah, right.
I went to see this therapist, and the therapist was like, Aidan, you could die alone. But also, I have personal friends, including the people down the hall from here, who are HIV positive, and they have great lives. That one drives, he just got his car, and that one just celebrated 20 years with his boyfriend. And so you could also have a good life. So for me to go, I'm gonna die alone to I'm gonna have a great life, too much of a jump.
Yeah.
But I could go, I'm gonna die alone to I could die alone, or there are some people who have great lives with HIV.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you have that, then you start listing the evidence for that. The guy down the hall, you type in Google. Google works the same way. Google will give you search results for whatever you put in.
Right.
You put in lonely people with HIV, you get lonely people with HIV. You get successful people with HIV, you get successful people. So when you put that in, you actively evidenced it. And that's what I did. I evidenced it until it became my normal state. I could have a good life with HIV. It's going.
I see. Cool.
And then I went to HIV doesn't have to have a bearing on the quality of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for traumatic events, but as far as there was another technique that I used with Michael, with losing him, because with something like that, it's like you have to be real clinical. Like I'm real clinical, right? Neuro-linguistic programming it's very clinical analysis. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we all want what we want because we think we feel better in the having of it, honestly. We want that job because we think that's going to make us feel more secure in our abilities, maybe. Or we might want to make more money because we think that'll provide, a sense of power. I don't know, whatever it is.
Right.
I asked myself every time I was upset about Michael, if Michael were here right now, what is it that he would give me that I don't think I could give to myself right now? And the answers were different. Sometimes it was like, because I would miss Michael. I'd be like, I miss you, Michael. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, why? If Michael were here, what emotional state could he provide me? So I went, sometimes it's security or comfort. Okay. So if it's security and comfort, let's find ways to give me security and comfort. Because Michael can't come back from the dead. That's over. How do I give myself those emotional states I'm longing for, despite this situation that can't change? So you have to be involved actively in your emotional care. You do that enough, it becomes automatic, right? Yeah. What am I missing?
Right.
Which doesn't mean that it works all the time, and it doesn't mean that I don't miss Michael. I miss Michael terribly. I have this book, I have all of this. I would give it all back just to have Michael back. Like, right. I don't care.
No, I understand. Yeah. 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 Gosh.
Thanks for letting me talk. I rant. I get excited.
I love it. I'll be, I don't want to talk about this too long because we're talking to you, but about 5 years ago, I had 3 head injuries in a year. First, martial arts, and I got assaulted. Then I got, then I got in a car accident, and then I had been prescribed that. You know who Jordan Peterson is?
The actor?
No, he's like a professor in Canada, and he also
the self-help guy.
Yeah. So he was misprescribed this Klonopin like I was, but I'd been taking it for 18 years because I couldn't sleep or something, and I got addicted to it. Not addicted, I was dependent on it, and then the doctor told me I had to get off, and it was like 3 years of hell, and I've been left with like all of this shit, like from years ago that I thought I dealt with. That's very traumatic. So I'm really interested in this because I've been trying to figure out how to get past it. Because once I got off that drug, it had done so much damage to my pathways or something. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like I regressed like 30 years.
Well, I mean, okay, so if we can talk about this after.
Yeah, it's fine. I just wanted to tell you. That's why I find it so interesting. Yeah.
I don't know how open you want to be with your listeners, right?
No, it's fine. I've already done a whole episode on this, so it's cool.
Okay, so then let's try this. Because this is interesting, right? So what is the main? Because you're saying there's some things that are bugging you, but what is the main thing that's bothering?
The main thing?
What is,
I had a lot of trauma as a kid. There was a lot of violence in my house, and physical and emotional violence. Yeah. And I feel like it's like it haunts me. It's like it just doesn't go away. The memories, flashbacks, then it affects like how I feel about myself now. And it comes and goes, but I had dealt with it and I was doing well with it until I got off this med that had been taken for so many years. And once I was off of it, I'm also having insomnia problems. It's like I went back like 30 years, like all the therapy I've had like sort of disappeared, and I've felt like I did, 30 years ago around it before I knew how to deal with it.
Have you, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Around this issue, and please, we can edit cool. any of this out, whatever.
Yeah.
So okay, so I'll use me as an example. Okay. I had trauma around my childhood. A lot of gaslighting, actually, for me. It was like parents being like, just a simple example. Let's go to Disneyland on Saturday. Yay! Disneyland Saturday. Looking forward to Disneyland. Saturday comes. Yay, we're going to Disneyland. No, we're not.
Oh, geez.
We didn't say that. Yes, you did. No, you didn't. No, we didn't. Yes, we did. You're so ungrateful. Why do you have to do? You're so you know what? That's it. I'm done. I'm leaving. So they would parental figures would leave me alone wherever I was, outside, indoor, it didn't matter, and essentially blame me for pointing out. And then I would have to be like, I'm so sorry. Apologize for something that I didn't. I was just, right? So swallow and so believe what I'm told instead of what I know, right?
Right.
That's destabilizing.
It drives you nuts.
So essentially, that has an emotional flavor, like an emotional signature that it leaves on your body, actually.
Exactly. So
when you have a thought, it's like if you
creepy.
think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
And actually, if you think about each of those events, this is an NLP technique.
Okay.
So if I think about that event, I'm like, if I had to feel that emotion that I felt at that time, where would it be? Right here. What color is it? Red. It's circular and it's red, and you start picturing what that is.
Mm-hmm.
As it's like a shape.
I see.
And you literally, in your imagination, take it on, go into it. It's counterintuitive because, especially for men, straight men, I think even have it worse. You guys are like, you got to be strong. Yeah. Oh, you feel bad? let's go drink. Let's go.
Yeah, or even
Let's
when
go
you're a
drink.
kid, start
It'll be
crying.
fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah.
And that unfelt emotion is like a cut that's on your arm that people are like, you're not supposed to feel that. And so you wrap it in duct tape and it's infected.
Yeah.
But if you would cut it and let it have the light of day, it goes away, it heals. And then now when people touch here, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
But as long as there's an infection underneath the duct tape, anybody brushes up against it, it goes, wah! You know?
So at some point, the memory of it doesn't cause that feeling that you described so well that I think we both had of that gross, like it's almost like you feel like there's like some kind of black fog in your brain for, even if it's just for a few seconds, it's just so horrible. You know, when you remember that.
I think that taking about a half hour to 45 minutes to dive into it doesn't take long.
Yeah.
Truly.
Oh, okay.
So if you're feeling, I don't know what specific event it is, but like say like someone, you know, like there was some violence and you were afraid.
Well, it's mostly memories of my mother like beating the crap out of me, you know.
Okay, and so most likely she beat you.
Yeah.
And then it's a xylophone. Most likely she beat you and then made you inappropriate for having the emotion that you had as it relates to the beating.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
She beat you and then you would cry and be like, what are you crying about? Or don't feel that or whatever the fuck. I'm guessing.
And it also hurt like hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it hurt so much you like go out of you and you disassociate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like if you had to pick an emotion that relates to that event, what would it be? What would be the emotion that you would say?
Oh God, it's like a rage that turns into self-loathing.
Okay, so if we go with rage, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you had to place it somewhere in your body, if you had to feel, this requires some like kind of like.
Yeah.
If you had to feel that rage somewhere in your body, where would you place it?
Probably my chest.
Right? Where can you point it?
Yeah, like right here.
Okay, if you had to give it a color, what would it be?
Red.
Okay, and is it a shape? Is there a shape to it?
Yeah, it's like a really dense red ball. Like a lacrosse ball. Moving around. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, that feeling right there, a good thing to do is take 30 minutes and go into it as to fully experience it.
You know what's interesting is just doing that for 15 seconds suddenly gave me this feeling of empowerment. It was weird.
Yeah, because you know what? The truth is, once you feel that, I don't know to what extent we all feel our feelings. It's like about like, you know what? I don't know what your therapy was, so like I can't speak on it. But like a lot of therapy is like mental exercise. Like this happened, so this happened, and this is analysis.
You go over and over and over it.
Yeah, this is a felt experience.
Yeah.
That's what you're feeling. So diving into it actually releases that pressure. You can't analyze this away. You have to feel it.
Yeah.
So like just dropping yourself in. And you know why it's also empowering? It's embracing that part of yourself, right? So that in this society, if you have rage, I've been studying emotions for a long time. So this is how I'm like able to do this. If you have rage, you're wrong. Like you're angry, you're wrong. You're wrong for being angry. So what we do is we disassociate. Like you said, we fragment. We go, and the angry part of myself, I'm not angry. I'm a nice person. But there is that part of you that is angry, that is now disassociated. So owning that part of you and reintegrating is an act of love, is an act of empowerment. And how do you integrate? You feel it, you allow it, and you welcome it back, right?
Yeah.
Because that's loneliness.
Right.
Right there.
Right.
Because no matter how much somebody loves you, there's a part of you that you're not accepting. And so that person only loves you for what you're showing. right?
Mm-hmm.
You must integrate, not you. I'm just saying everybody.
No, I understand.
To integrate all those parts of ourselves. And we do that by feeling.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. I'm definitely going to be looking into this. I mean, I was aware of it, and I think Susan, we were talking about Susan. She does this too, right?
I don't know.
Oh, yes, she does. Yeah, she does. Yeah, she talked to me about it a long time ago. So you've been riding your bike, huh?
Yeah.
That's one of the And you just learned how to ride a bike, and now you ride your bike all the time?
Oh, yeah. So 3 months ago, I started, and then I was like, I have always wanted to be an outdoors person, and I was never very coordinated. And so I started riding my bike and was crashing into animals and such. And now I feel so sufficient. Like, like I'm like, yay, I'm able to ride,
Yeah, yeah. So like if you're in downtown LA, where do you go? Do you go like head up to the hills behind there or just ride downtown or?
Yeah, I drive to the beach.
Oh yeah,
it's
right.
30-minute drive. I drive to the mountains. That's a 20-minute drive.
I know people, downtown LA is actually in a good spot for that because you got the mountains right behind you, right? And you got the beach right in front of you. Yeah.
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 LA is great for that. It's easier. In a way, it's easier than San Francisco because if you live in San Francisco, it's going to take you a while to get anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't get there. For me, it's like, the freeway's like 2 minutes away. You hop on and you go anywhere.
Especially now with COVID, there's not as much traffic anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, up here, I don't know what it's like down there, but.
Yeah. I miss the Bay Area, though. I don't know what the Bay Area theater scene is like anymore. I mean, now that with COVID, everything shut down, but the last musical piece I did Harold Hill at Berkeley Playhouse. Oh, okay. And that was the last one. Yeah.
So what's happening now is there's a lot with the, what is it? It's not Black Lives Matter. It's the document saying that theater has been dominated by white men and people of color. I forgot what it was called. I got in trouble because I posted some, I'm a photographer and I posted these photos I had found from a theater company on Facebook. And there were people of color in the group of photos, but they were in the back and they went on the front and Facebook, and a Latino woman, like just started trashing me on my webpage. It's gotten a little bit ugly out here around that.
I feel bad for you. You really?
I have not posted on Facebook since then. That was like 5 months ago.
Because they have white people, or because did you say something?
I didn't say anything. I didn't even realize. I just liked the pictures. These are good pictures, and then I can't remember. There was a document floating around, and everybody in the Bay Area, anybody of color, could contribute to the document, and they were supposed to like talk about all the microaggressions that happened to them because they were people of color in the Bay Area theater, and it's like 60 pages long, and it names names, and it says terrible things about reviewers and artistic directors and stuff, I think it's horrible. I mean, I'll go out and just say that right now. I mean, maybe it's cathartic, but it was a public document, and there's no, it's like you're condemning people without a trial. It was just, and the thing is, it's like me saying this is a problem. And if anybody hears this, I'm probably going to be like on certain people's blacklists, but I don't really care because at this point,
screw it, Ray.
No, I know I'm tired.
Because you can't, that's the thing. That's what bothers me is like, this has been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
And if you have been leading with your internal compass of what's right and wrong, then you will see this. But right now it's the hip thing to do. So people are just signing on without actually evaluating.
Yes. They just go with the, it's like, if I don't go along with them, then I am not a sympathetic person. I am not, but that's not the issue to me. The issue is there's so many things. It's like, is it worth putting yourself as a victim? How are you going to ever get power if you always say I'm the victim? And secondly, you're forcing people to go along with your point of view and not allowing people to have their own thoughts anymore. I mean, it's exactly going against what they're complaining about.
Cancel culture. Yeah.
What's that?
It's the cancel culture. It's like you're
Exactly.
canceled if you don't agree with the.
Yeah.
And you know, this sounds so funny. I'm gonna probably lose people who are very upset too. But I'm gonna use Trump as an example, and then I'll relay it back because I think people can hear it better when I use someone else. The reason why Trump won is because there's a world of people who are very unhappy with the way their lives are going. I tour the country doing stand-up. So I've gone to like friggin' Kentucky and, you know, all these towns where everything is shut down. Everything, there is poverty there that they cannot get gas to go to the town to get groceries. Like that level of poverty exists out there.
Yes.
Really,
Yes.
Truly.
Oh, I know.
And beyond what we could imagine here in the Bay at all. Like it's really bad. Like, oh, wow, you know. And then they turn on TV and then they see people saying, oh, white privilege this and that. Then those people are like, white privilege, I can't, I live in a trailer that has like a leaky roof. I don't know how we're going to pay the heating bill for the winter, and I can't get food for my kids.
And I'm white.
I don't know. And then I'm being villainized now for also being an asshole.
Yeah, right.
So, and then they're making fun of me for being sick with toothless. I don't have dental care. I don't have food, you know? And so that person becomes an enemy. Here comes Trump and goes, you know who to blame? Mexicans.
Yeah.
People who are unhappy with their whatever circumstance they're in, when they're given someone to blame feels better than powerless, right?
Yeah.
So Trump essentially helped them feel better from wherever they currently are. The emotional hierarchy is like disempowerment is the lowest, powerlessness, disempowerment, then blame and anger, right?
Yeah.
Blame and anger is better than disempowered from an emotional standpoint. When you're disempowered, that's done. So that's great. That's how Trump won, because he inspired people out of their sad state into somewhat of a better, there's de-energized negative and energized negative. Energized negative feeling the body is better for the body than de-energized. Same thing is happening with the Bay Area. Look, Bay Area theater scene is tough. There's a lot of people who don't get rolled all the time. There's a lot of people who are ignored largely.
Right.
Some people just can't deliver. Like they can't carry a show. Like, you know, and it's not about race. It's just not able to like carry the show. Okay.
Yeah, right.
There's white people who can't carry the show. Let's be honest.
Of course.
Some people are just not up to snuff as far as ability. Okay.
Yeah.
So if they're unhappy about the situation, and no one's gonna sit them down and go, "You're not really like you need to work on this and that." No one does that. They just go, "Oh, everything's great," mostly.
Yeah.
And so now we're in a situation where they have no reason why they are not getting the parts other than now here's this wave that says racial injustice is fueled in the Bay Area and is keeping you down. What a great thing for some people who feel disempowered, who feel like they're not appreciated for what they have to offer, who don't have an understanding, to latch onto that and blame you guys.
I know.
That's a better feeling.
I'm not saying there's no truth to what they're saying, because there
is truth. Absolutely.
But it's so exaggerated and so when it becomes all encompassing and saying that is the problem, there is no other problem, and that's wrong. That's wrong, because everything is always more complicated than that.
I think there is truth to. I think there is that. I think there is micro. I think there is all of that.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
And it's become hip to say something about something that happened to them. So they could be like, oh, like, well, that was like, whatever. Like this person made an Asian joke 20 years ago, no big deal, you know, whatever. They could take that now and bring it back at that person's expense and gain what? Retweets, likes, accolades,
Yeah.
favor from casting, favor from community.
That's what happened.
At that person's expense that didn't really matter to them until now, because now it all of a sudden matters.
Yeah.
And it's so unfortunate for that person. And I find it gross. But there's also the real ones where it's like, oh, like that actually happened to you? Like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do know what
it's
you mean.
Mixed.
But then the problem is when you don't know what is real and what isn't anymore. Like when everybody feels like they can make their complaint no matter what it was, and it's all in one document, and it's not no one oversees it. There's no fact checking, and it's out there and everybody reads it. It just all becomes equal, and it did so much damage to the way people communicate around here, and that happened a few months ago.
And the white people in the community, actually, like, I've known you for a long time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've known you for what? I've been in this theater scene since 2003.
15 years?
17 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
17 years. I'm a person of color. I'm a gay person. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know, like, it is like, you know, like Twitter, like when they put something out that's negative or fear driven, which by the way, politicians are doing, and products are doing, what they want to do is they want you to buy into the fear of what might happen if the other party wins. So Trump is telling their supporters, if they win, you're going to be villainized forever. And Biden's going, oh, if Trump wins, then, oh, we're going to be so far behind. So it's going to be such a scary America. They want you to believe that. They want to drive fear and anxiety into you because that will drive you to give money. Fear and anxiety gets more results. And so, unfortunately, people who post about fear and anxiety driving things or things that create anger is going to get more results. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And so on Twitter, on Facebook, that's what they put. Very rarely will you see people put out consistently positive stuff because we've been trained and conditioned. It's sometimes it's a little self-serving. It's very upsetting to me. This is very upsetting to me.
Well, it's sad. I mean, because you know, and I get sucked into it. And I just recently decided to stop watching the news. But I was noticing I'm watching CNN all the time, and it's not that they're lying on there, but they're definitely trying to make you upset. And that way you'll keep watching CNN, which means you'll keep either, you know, paying for your cable service or watching the TV, the commercials. And that's what they want. It's all about the money. And same with Fox on the other side.
100 people can come out and say, Ray Renati has treated me so kindly over so many years. Right?
Yeah.
One person can be like, he spoke to me in a condescending way, which maybe you could have in a. I condescend people sometimes, and I don't even know because I'm like too busy, or I'm like not thinking, or nobody can be free of condescend. Everybody condescends other people at some point. If you say I never condescend people, you're a liar. That doesn't happen.
Right.
Like we tend to have angry outbursts sometimes in high pressure situations. We say things, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, oh, you dirty chink, probably not. We don't say that, but we're like, you know, make an offhanded joke that doesn't land well. 100 people can have no experiences, right? And then one person can say, oh, I had this odd experience with Ray, and that'll get attention. Because why? The law of negative attention, anxiety driving. And it puts people it allows people to make no mistakes or reposition themselves, or it's just so upsetting. Like when they were like, oh, Clinton, you know, made, you know, don't ask, don't tell in 92. And that's actually really bad because they gay marriage legal or whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, were you in 92? That was a really big move.
Right.
So this empowers people from making big moves from wherever they're currently at. Because what if it comes back to you 30 years later and it gets like storied in a way that's going to harm you? So nobody take any risks. Nobody say anything. Nobody take any stand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I just rant? Did I rant?
No, you didn't. No, you just froze you froze for a second. So I was like waiting for you to come back. No, I love it. I'm glad. It's so great to be able to talk about these things. Honestly, it gets me kind of riled up. I have to do my. Are you still there? You look frozen. Uh-oh.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You just froze there for a
Yeah.
second.
It's good. It's good to get riled up. It means we have something to stand for. And it's not a personal thing. I'm not a white guy. And I have no reason to stand. And also, I think racial injustice is wrong also. It's not that at all. Please. Let's not do that. Oh, Aidan doesn't care about, spin this into Aidan doesn't care about racial minorities. Please give me a friggin' break. You know what I mean? But you got to kind of go with what feels right,
Yeah. I mean, I completely empathize and want to support any group of people that's put down in our society. I mean, I think it just sucks. And it has been particularly bad for Black people. And also somebody who we rarely talk about is American Indians, Native Americans.
No.
And I think it's horrible, and we need to do something about it. So that's not what I'm saying. It's just that when you start villainizing one group of people, like white men. Now, I happen to be a white man. I don't care. I'm just saying it's like it doesn't do anybody any good. If everything is it's all because of white men.
You'll get this right away. I think this is where the detriment comes in. I think, all right, I had a small business. I ran a small business, right? And where I dealt with a bunch of employees. I had 3 employees who didn't turn in the money properly and ran off with the money, right? Mm-hmm. 3 of them. One of them happened to be Black. I had a racial bias against Black people because of the society, the media, or whatever. And so I was like, I don't know that I should hire. This wasn't like, it was 08 or 09. I was like, should I hire Black people again? Like, I'm not sure. Right. But that was an unfair bias. Now, and I'm like, that's really unfair. Let's take a look at the data. And I'm able to come out and say exactly what happened. I was influenced by bias based on media, and I bought into it. And I was wrong, and I'm correcting, right?
Yeah.
So people have to be able to make those kinds of moves safely in order for us to move forward as a society. They can't do that if we go, racism is so fucked, that gives no room for people on this side to admit their mistakes or admit that they did something or admit, maybe, Ray, you might have said something. Oh, I remember I called the Black girl like, oh, well, you should do the color purple. I don't know, some kind of joke that was funny in 06,
Yeah.
If you come out and say that, I think that should be something that's like, Ray actually admitted that we all have biases. Ray actually admitted that he had a bias and he admitted something like that. So then he really is like we all are trying to move forward. But if you go, oh my God, he did this, how safe is it for people to come out and admit their biases openly?
You can't talk about it
for people. And the problem isn't people like you. The problem is people in Kentucky. What are they going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're already, like, the problem is those people need to be able to see it. But if we make a hostile environment for them, they're never going to do it.
Right. I remember years ago. Yeah. We have to make an open environment where people can discuss things and talk about things without feeling like they're going to be put down or judged or told that they're prejudiced. I remember years ago, once I flew to Arkansas. I think it was Fayetteville, Arkansas, and from the airport to the company I was going to, I had this job. It was the most poverty I'd ever seen in my life for like 45 minutes. And all races, living in the same neighborhoods. That just really left a huge impression on me. Because like you say, you don't see that so much in California. It was
Well, nowadays, Stockton, Modesto, my God.
Yeah, right.
You see stores. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Our connection got really
It's
bad.
so bad out there. It's so. You what?
Our connection got really bad all of a sudden. Our connection here on the Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just you're breaking up sometimes, but it's fine. Yeah, I'll just tell you a little story. I was about 10 years ago, I saw this play called The Mountaintop. I was going to school in London at RADA for the summer, and The Mountaintop. It was written by Katori Hall. She's kind of famous now. I contacted her right after I saw the play. It was a play about Martin Luther King. It was a two-hander about Martin Luther King and his maid in the hotel the night before he was shot. It was all fiction, but it was really good. And I contacted her right away, and I said, I got to do something with your play. I mean, whether I direct it or get it to Theater Works or whatever. And so I helped her get it to Theater Works and got to Theater Works. And then I directed it at a smaller theater. And there are two. It's an awesome play for two African American people. 45 people signed up for the audition, and 6 showed up. And I have to be honest. It's like when I heard about how there's no opportunities and all this, I'm like, in my experience a few years ago, I had a play for two great play for two African American people, and 6 people showed up when there were 45 people on the list. And but as time went on, I was wondering, maybe because they found out the director was white. This was right when there was a big hullabaloo on Broadway for a white person directing Fences. It was exactly the same time. So I was like, then when we started rehearsal, I did something really stupid with them because out of goodwill, but it turned bad. I said, because I was so self-conscious about being white. When we sat down the first day, I said, I know I'm white, but my family were sharecroppers in Pacifica from Italy. And I'm not saying that my experience is the same as you, but I'm not like a wasp, that's been here for 100 generations. Boy, that pissed them off. And the play was awesome, but there was so much conflict between us for the entire rehearsal after that. And it was so bad I had to bring in a woman from the theater company every night to be there to just kind of even things out. I'm not sure why I'm telling you this right now. It was just really eye-opening for me. But I made a lot of mistakes, and even after that, I made mistakes. One time, the woman in the play, there was a spot where it turns out she's a ghost, and in her prior life, she was a prostitute. Now, it was obvious to me from the words, but the actress, who was awesome, by the way, she lives in LA. She did not want to believe that. And I actually called Katori Hall in the middle of the rehearsal to ask her if it was true, just so I could prove this actress wrong. Yeah. And I in retrospect, I behaved terribly. I didn't mean to, but I admit it. I did. And I knew I did.
Well, that's something that, I think.
And I think it was a racial thing.
Everybody behaves terribly.
And it was a racial, I will say it was a racial issue with me subconsciously. I mean, it got to the point where that's what I was thinking about all the time.
Can I tell you something else about theater? Actually,
yeah.
This is the issue with theater is, and nobody wants to say this, but theater is for people who have money. You can't be in theater unless you actually have money. Honestly.
Right.
And white people have money. I'm sorry, they have more money than ethnic minorities.
Yeah.
I got lucky. I was living with my grandmother's government apartment, and so I was able to do theater. I couldn't get a job anyway. And so in order to do theater, I got a scholarship with Richard Nicole, right? And I was doing community theater and whatever, right? So I was able to do it. People can't do community theater. You can't support a family unless you're really high educated, unless you're whatever, or have businesses.
Yeah.
Poor people cannot do theater. They can't go and dedicate every single night for 5 nights, 7 to 11, generally, and pay rent and have kids. And it's a very privileged thing. The whole theater thing is a privileged thing, especially in the Bay Area. And I'll tell you why, because Bay Area is such high cost of living. And I remember this. The reason why I went toward stand-up and not toward the musical theater, actually, it was a decision point. Music Man at Berkeley Playhouse, actually, because I was doing Harold Hill, and it's a big deal. It's a big role in an equity house. I was getting paid equity wages, and I looked at my check and it was like $400 a week, and I'm like, I can't pay rent on this.
Yeah,
I can't pay rent. So you're expected to have another job. Even TheaterWorks. TheaterWorks is like what, 800 a week after taxes, like $5. You have to have another job. You cannot sustain yourself on those wages. Right. It is not. So they can't just say well, the race is a problem. Maybe class is a problem. Maybe paying actors a living wage is the problem. Maybe no real, except very few exceptions, people cannot afford to do theater. And so if they want more minorities to do theater, well, then make it more wage friendly, because most minorities are suffering from under wages. We're poor. We're poor.
All right.
Not we Asians are not poor in the Bay Area generally, but you know what I'm saying, right?
I do know what you're saying. I mean, you have to learn your lines. You have to learn, if it's a musical, you got to learn your choreography, your songs. You have to be there. You have to be able to get to the theater by 7. You might live an hour away. If you don't have a car, you have to take public transportation, which is horrible in the Bay Area. Good luck with that. Then you get home at midnight. Then you got to get up and you got to go to work. And then if you got kids and you can't pay the bills and you're poor, how are you going to possibly do it? You can't.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And then these are the theaters. I'm so sorry. I'm going off on a rampage. The freaking theater companies are like, oh, you're non-equity, $350 stipend for the entire run. And then they turn around and say, we do inclusive casting. We want inclusivity. What they mean is, we want inclusivity of people who are ethnically diverse who can afford it. Because if you can't afford them, we can't have you. But ethnic minorities can't afford to do theater.
I know.
So really,
I know it's an impossible situation. And also, I mean, having been on a board of a theater company, there's just not the money, because theater's not attended well enough. Even if you get full houses, you can't charge enough in small companies to cover those costs of being able to pay the actors enough money.
It's not their fault. I'm not saying it's their fault.
No, right. No, I know.
It's a little.
No. It's just it's an impossible situation, and I don't know the solution.
My solution was to go into stand-up where there is money. I'm sorry.
No, that's great, and you're very, very funny. I mean, you're hilarious. I have to say, I haven't been to one of your stand-up shows, but I'm definitely going to go. I almost went once with Joanna, and something happened, and I couldn't make it. Very, very funny. So you're friends with Margaret Cho? She lives here in the Bay Area, doesn't she?
No, she lives here.
Oh, okay.
She lives 3 miles from me.
I know she used to be up here at one time. Yeah, oh, okay. What's that?
We're friends now.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Very lucky. Yeah, very lucky.
Did you know Jimmy Gunn? He passed away. He was a Oh, okay. He had gotten out of it for a while. He was funny. He was friends with her she knows him. So,
yeah, Margaret's great.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of great.
I just destroy the dreams of all the Bay Area people? I'm concerned that to build a theater career in the Bay Area, all I'm saying is kind of difficult to make a living wage.
Oh, it's okay. So I've been doing this for a long time, and I can tell you the only place I've ever worked where you could make a living wage, but you couldn't work there enough to actually make it, except for a few weeks, was American Musical Theater of San Jose, because they had the. What's that?
They shut down.
Yeah, and they had the big WCLO contract. I mean, they paid really well, like Broadway wages.
ACT is like 1,000, right?
Yeah, but that's not even close. I mean,
Crazy to be too. ACT pays $1,000 a week.
that's all. I mean, you can't live on that. Barely.
Live on that.
I know. It's crazy. And American Musical Theater San Jose paid like $2,000 a week, and that was before they went out of business. But that was the only one. There's nothing here in the Bay Area other than the touring companies, and they're all cast out of town.
Training, and then you can tour or get on Broadway, or like it's a great place for training.
Yeah.
But also, I made a mistake. Okay, like if I really wanted to go, if I had any advice for young people who wanted to make a career of this, like who are listening to this, like I would say, like, gotta move. I would say go to a college that has like a major. The people that I know have made it, they started really young in New York or LA with some kind of connection, or they went to Carnegie Mellon or Juilliard or what have you. You know what I mean? They kind of went out.
Yes.
And so I took the route of, and it cost me. So what happened was I was in the Bay Area, and I was like, okay, well, after I got, the training from Richard, like around 20, I was like, well, I want to stay here and get my equity card. I want to make sure that I'm, I want to make sure that I'm solid. So for 3-4 years, I did, I studied like, I did the San Francisco Shakespeare. I did like, I trained, I got my equity card, blah, 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 blah. And then I went out there and I realized it doesn't matter to them. So
it doesn't matter to who?
To the people casting.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care about all these credits.
Right.
So I think what matters more is the connection. If you really intend on making a career, I would say go to New York, go to LA, figure it out, make connections.
Absolutely.
One job can get you your equity card. And if you know the right people, they can put you on a TV show or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you want to be like a Bay Area actor who's like successful, like Ray, like I think Ray, you're like about as, you're like at the top of the, I would say, like of where you can, you know what I mean? Like, like you're really well established in the Bay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, but if you're looking to like make a career, do you have another job or do you just do theater?
I do some other stuff, but mainly I do theater. I mean, I do piecemeal work for people, but I don't have another job.
Yeah.
And I was doing Uber and Lyft.
Sure, just curious.
I was in high tech for a long time, and I was like VP of sales at a software company until I was up until about 23 years ago, and then I just left it all behind. I got so sick of it.
Yeah.
But I made enough money to like get a house, and we're doing fine. But like you say, I'm one of those people who can afford it. I mean, I'll just say it. I mean, I'm not mega rich or anything, but what's that?
That's a good story. Like some people, like they work like really hard and like early on, and then they have enough money that they can like. Actually, one of my dreams.
That's what I did. Yeah.
You know my book, right? My book, and actually, like I'm doing an online business. I do like wellness shows, wellness comedy shows about emotional well-being and empowerment, blah blah blah. Oh. And for like corporations.
Great.
And so, what I would love to do, I love theater. So what I would love to do is do that and sell my books and do online coaching, then And what I would love to do is go to different towns and do community theater productions. How fun would that be? I would love to just live my life doing community theater. Maybe I'll go back to the Bay Area and do it for fun. That'd be great. Like make a ton of money doing
that, I've known a few people over the years who's done that. Not a lot, but yeah.
I love theater. It's so fun.
Oh, I love it. It's awesome. Like being in a really good play or musical, and especially like the masterpieces like Sweeney Todd, or if you're like when I directed, I've been able to direct some incredible plays like Death of a Salesman and Mammoth plays and stuff. And they're endless, it's like this piece of meat that just like you dig into and it just tastes better every night. It's just it never ends. It's incredible. It's like the human spirit just flourishes and grows, and you find Yeah, it's like Shakespeare, you know, it just never ends what you can find in there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to
so
explain unless you've experienced it. It's kind of like looking at a great painting or sculpture, and every time you look at it, you see something different, and it just grows on you, you know. But
so interesting.
yeah, I love it. So what else? Gosh. Have you
We
voted?
covered like so much, huh?
I know. I love talking to you. This is great. This is one of the best conversations I've had in a long time.
Yay! I'm glad. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Well, I have to. I still have to vote. I have my ballot there, and I filled most of it out. But there's some things I can't figure out what to do, so it just sits there.
What are the propositions that you're
Well, like the big one for me is Proposition 22 about the gig drivers, you know? Do you know which one I'm talking about? Yeah. So like I've been driving Uber and Lyft and some other kids ones for like 5 years, very part-time mostly. And I'm torn. It's like, do I support the big corporations who also made it just incrementally better for the riders, actually, for the drivers, excuse me, with the proposition, just a little better than leaving it to the AB 50 or 5 or whatever it is? Or do I go against the big corporations and for the union work? And
well, what's in your best interest?
In my best interest would be to say yes, but
then say yes. Like not just your best interest now, in your best interest overall.
Oh, overall, I would say my best interest would be no, because I believe that most of these jobs, and I see it, are immigrants who are just trying to make it, and they work long hours, and they deserve to have some security. So
that's not your interest. That's their interest.
I know, but I feel like my interest is partly to help create a better society. The other thing that I don't
think that really is the case, because if they have to, what's to guarantee that those people are going to get paid a fair wage?
Yeah, I know. Actually, you're right. It's not good, because if you vote no, then what is it, AB 50 or whatever, that guarantees minimum wage. But actually in California, if you're a driver, and you're doing it right, you're going to make more than minimum wage. So it actually might hurt them so I think I'm going to vote.
Are you sure it's not about
I just
taxation?
decided. What?
It's not, and this is so hard, because I have a little company in the Bay Area where like I train people to make bubbles at children's parties.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we have like 8 people working there, and we pay $65 per party. So it's a great job for flexible. And since the Bay Area went $15 an hour, I can't find good people to want to do this. And so we're trying to raise the prices, but then it's just, and $65 an hour is good.
Yeah.
And plus tip, plus mileage, so people walk away with like $120 a show.
That's really good. Yeah.
But I can't compete with guaranteed 8-hour shifts at Jack in the Box.
Right.
So as a small business owner, it's tough.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, like I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
And so, there's people who are like, what are the rules that they're gonna have to follow if they go and do, like, are they gonna be able to drive and go, oh, I need to pick up my children,
Right.
Like, are they gonna be able to stop, or are they gonna be on the hourly? Like, how does this?
So this is a business you still have now?
Not, well, since coronavirus, not so much.
Oh no, definitely not.
Oh God, Ray, if you instead of doing that, can you just make bubbles with us?
Sure, yeah. You can do Zoom bubble parties.
You can't find good people. It's like they gotta have a car, They got to be able to handle 35 minutes of presentation. They got to be good with children. They got to be good with the parents, and they got to be responsible and show up on time and not be high all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's tough.
It's like, I can't. I'm like, what do I do? You know?
Yeah.
Bubbles. We use square bubbles, triangle bubbles. We put kids inside bubbles with them. It's so cute. I love that job. It's so cute. I started as a bubble guy. Just like, you know, and then I went to the boss and I was like, do you want to expand to the Bay? And he was like, this is LA. And he was like, okay, well, you can try. And so I was like, okay. And so like I took the script up there and I trained a few people, and now we have 8, but until Corona, and then now we're not.
Do you make like all those fancy bubbles? Like I was in Central Park in New York when there's a guy who's making these giant bubbles and they do all these strange things. Is that the kind of thing?
Yeah. We have like the strings with the stick on it. It's huge.
Yeah.
Children love it. It's so fun.
I loved it. It's so cool.
So fun. I miss it. I miss doing bubbles.
Hey, who doesn't like bubbles?
I love bubbles. I get a little burnt out. I don't really like young children all that much. I'm great with them, but
it's tiring. Yeah.
Yeah. But
remember Lawrence Welk? Turn off the bubble. You might be too young for that. There was this guy named Lawrence Welk. He had a TV show. And he always be like, and there was a bubble machine. But you have to Google it. It's hilarious. You'll love it. The Lawrence Welk Show. I watched it with my grandmother.
The bubble machines, the little heady bubbles.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Do you live in SF proper, or where do you live?
I live in Palo Alto.
Oh, we're not recording anymore, right? Are we recording still?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Oh, okay. You live in Palo Alto?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm serious. If you or anybody else you know wants to do this bubble job, please.
It'll have to be after COVID, though, right?
Yeah, after COVID. But like I'm always desperately looking for bubble people. Like I'm always desperate. I'm always like, please. I had to hire an Instagram model one time.
Oh, wow.
And I love her. But she's like, by day, she's like making bubbles. And by night, she's like posting naked photos on Instagram.
Oh, God.
And, I talk about this in my book. She literally leaves me messages like, hi, Aidan. She talks lower than me. Hi, Aidan. I can't do the 3:00 show because I have a 4:00 shoot and I can't dry out my hands because they need to use my fingers to cover my areolas. I'm like, yes, but can you do the 7:00?
That's what Photoshop's for, lady. Yeah.
Oh, fun. We should exchange numbers. Keep in touch with me, please.
For sure. So let's talk about, let's make sure everybody know about your book. It's called The Art of Being Yay.
Yeah, it's a really empowering book. So it's like putting your joy and happiness in front of, anything. And it helps you manage trauma and anxiety. And I really encourage people to have like an internal locus of control, and that is the way that you'll be really happy. Because if you're out of, if you have to be able to go by what you feel. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
And if you go to my site, aidanpark.com, there is a values worksheet that you can have. So it's like, it helps you figure out what your values are in life and then see if you're living in alignment with those values that which are important to you.
Great.
There's that and all kinds of fun stuff on my website. And
I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put it in the notes, the link, Aidan, and to your book on Amazon. It was number 1 on Amazon, you'd say, for a while?
It was number 1 on Amazon in happiness and grief, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
That was like number 1 at the same time on happiness and grief. I'm like,
the art of being yay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Right on.
Thank you.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you, too.